My content's not for kids!
Hey everybody, Dacheldor here, and today's episode of Dacheldor Explains is gonna be epic. Well, not the episode, but the subject material. That's right, we're talking about The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. This has been the most asked for Dacheldor Explains episode, by the way, fam. I even had an actual Hobbit ask me to do this. Check it out. Now, before we get started, we're gonna have to go over some explanation about the world setting. If you want more about this stuff, I recommend the book The Summer Quintillion. No, The Cimmersupian? Shit, what is this thing? Cimmerillion? Don't worry, we're not actually going that deep. Basically, I just need to describe the setting and the different races in this place. Yes, I said it. Races. The story takes place a long time ago in the middle of a world called Earth. To make that simpler, we just call it Middle Earth. It's basically where Europe is now, but this was so long ago, we're talking prehistory, fam. This is back in a time before Homo sapien was the dominant force on the planet. He's still there. We call him man in this story. But if you want to get technical, he's not really like the humans of nowadays. DNA testing has shown that most modern day humans actually have a portion of Neanderthal and other various species as part of them. Basically, the precursor to modern day Homo sapiens like to get freaky with every other species that was like them. What came out of that is modern humans. So think of the race of man in the story as the precursor to humans. Next you got this stocky race of humanoid beings that live in the mountains. Sounds pretty familiar, but we're gonna go ahead and call them something fantasy-like. Dwarves. These guys and gals are tough as nails and both of them are hairy as hell. Then we got this shorter kind of humanoids that are only on one little area of their own. Hobbits! Man, I'm starting to get freaked out at how accurate this is to prehistory. Hobbits are basically like your kids if they never grow up and continue to eat like they are growing up. Then we got this tall, fair-skinned race that everybody kind of reveres as if they were ancient, elder god-like beings or something. Damn it, everything is parallel. We call these pointy-eared bastards the elves. Now, as a fellow pointy-eared individual, I approve of how they're portrayed in this story. Basically, you could replace the word elves with badasses and it would work in this particular setting. It's funny how powerful the fair-skinned characters are when in actuality, you know what, know it, we'll get into that in a minute. Next, we got the orcs, goblins, and Uruk-hai. These are basically inbred elves that got kicked out of the family. And last, there's the people from the Dark Continent who ride on elephants. Whoa. Nope, you know what? I don't want to get canceled today. We're not going into this. Hey, if you have a problem with how J.R.R. Tolkien wrote the extremely fair-skinned characters and the extremely dark-skinned characters, you take it up with the Tolkien estate. I didn't write this shit. So now that we're all on the same page, let's get into the first book, The Hobbit. The Hobbit was a book for kids, if the goal was to put your kids to sleep with a lot of description of hills and meadows. Of course, if they make it all the way to the end, there's a giant, bloodthirsty war, but you know, what kid's story doesn't end that way? The story centers around a hobbit named Bilbo Baggins who wants to go out on adventures but doesn't want to go out on adventures. Then one day an angel shows up and is like, "You're going out on an adventure, jerkass." The angel hooks the hobbit up with a bunch of dwarves. They go on a quest where they fight trolls, goblins, and orcs. The hobbit finds a magic ring that turns him invisible. They all ride in some kick-ass barrels down a river, steal a dragon's hard-earned money, and start a bloodthirsty battle over loot. Tale as old as time, give me all your wine, or I'll stab your ass. Pretty simple story, pretty easy read, one book, a 1-hour cartoon movie, and there's also a motion picture version that's what? 3 movies! This did not need to be 3 movies, fam. But now it's time to get into what you really came for, the epic that is The Lord of the Rings. It's Bilbo's 111th birthday, and the angel shows back up, but this time just to hang out with the locals and get high as a kite. Some local stoners get to some of the fireworks early and they're like, "Whoa, man, look, fireworks! What if we set the biggest one off right now and then set them all off at once, man?" Epic. Of course, Bilbo has some relatives over too, though he doesn't like most of them. There is one of them he likes. We'll refer to him as the Doomed Hobbit. The Doomed Hobbit's best friend is also there. We'll refer to him as the Simple Hobbit. Bilbo ditches his own party by using his invisibility ring to escape, but this suddenly makes the angel realize something he forgot about somehow all this time. That ring be dangerous as shit, yo! Bilbo decides to leave for a while, but he gifts the ring to the Doomed Hobbit. That's the instant where that hobbit becomes doomed. The angel busts in the house like Bowser, or at least that's how I remember it happening. He sends the Doomed Hobbit on a quest to destroy the ring before an Elder God wakes up, takes the ring, and uses it to destroy all of Middle-earth. Before the angel leaves the Doomed Hobbit to this task, he finds the Simple Hobbit masturbating out in the bushes. "You were eavesdropping, Simple Hobbit! You're on this task now too!" The Doomed Hobbit and the Simple Hobbit meet up with the Stoner Hobbits, and at this point you're thinking, typical 90s road trip movie. But that's not how it goes, fam. After straight up robbing Farmer Maggot's crop, the 4 hobbits get their first glance at one of the Elder God's henchmen, a Nazgul. This handsome gentleman somewhat reminds me of myself. I feel like if I was one of the Nazguls, I'd probably be the king of them. Some kind of like Lich King or Witch King or Bitch King, whatever, you get the idea. In either case, the hobbits hoof it to a raft and get across a river, and the Nazgul's like, fuck that, I ain't getting wet today. Then they make it to a city with a big bar where they find out the drinks here come in pints. That's mighty big for them hobbits. They meet up with a man named Strider, but his real name is Aragorn, but he also has the name Elfstone, and he also has the name Eagle of the Star, and he also has the name Hulk, and he's also heir of Isildur, and he's also son of Arathorn.
Check out my OP original character, guys. He's a level 20 ranger, motherfuckers.
Aragorn is like the only real human in this because he's half whatever the progenitors of humans were, and he's half elf, and he's about to get down with an elf, so he's about to make the bloodline more like it is today. He travels with the hobbits to Rivendell, where his elf sweetheart is. Rivendell is basically that city where all the privileged rich motherfuckers live. But on their way, they gotta travel through the ghetto, and one of them gets knifed. This technically should be where the story ends because this is all the angel needed the doomed hobbit to do is get the ring here. But everybody starts fighting over who's cool enough to carry the ring, and the angel realizes, fuck nah, man. This ain't over till it's over, bitches. They meet up with a dwarf, an elf, and a bunch of expendables. Then they head into a mine. A mine! One of the stoned hobbits sees a skeleton and is like, whoa dude, let me touch that skeleton, man! But he's so baked he drops that skeleton straight down a well and it alerts everything to their location. They try to fight their way out of the mine, but a giant ass demon busts up out of nowhere and is like, fuck your shit, bitches! The angel's like, aw man, it's on, this was the moment I was born for! The demon's like, I ain't got time for your shit, let me pass. He's like, you shall not pass, motherfucker! Back to the motherfucking shadows. Then they have a slap fight and they fall down a pit. Before the angel falls the whole way down, he tries to explain to the team what the rest of his plan was. He says, fly you fools, meaning, go find the eagles and fly on their backs, and this whole thing will be over in a moment. But nobody understands what he's talking about. They decide to straight up walk the whole way to Mount Doom. Idiots. They find some more elves, led by a goth elf who's like, I passed the test. I don't know what test you're talking about, baby, but you can pass this test. Oh, sorry, after watching Thor Ragnarok, I got a soft spot for this one. More like a hard spot if you know what I'm talking about. She gives them some metagame items which they're gonna need later, but we're not really gonna talk about. The group gets attacked by some orcs and Orokai. That's actually really hard to say, but I pulled it off. Blow the horn, bitch! You're dead. The doomed hobbit and the simple hobbit sneak off on their own. The 2 stoned hobbits get captured. The main character, the elf and the dwarf, hunt down the Orokai to try to get revenge. As they hunt down the orcs and Orokai, they find the angel again. Of course he's not dead, he's a fucking angel. He's like, nah guys, you gotta go to Helm's Deep and fight a bunch of cool ass shit over there. They're like, sure, why not? The 2 stoner hobbits get away as soon as the orcs and Orokai end up accidentally going into the woods. I don't know what kind of spores are going off in these woods, but it totally trips these guys out in a bad way. They're seeing talking trees and slow moving guys, and people are talking about Entwives. It's all kinds of bad trip. The orcs don't know how to just go with the flow, so they get the hell out of there. Meanwhile, our 2 token buddies, they know exactly how to handle this situation. They just go along for the ride. By the time they wake out of their stupor, they find out they're at some guy's tower. They totally jacked his shit. Meanwhile, this guy happens to be the same one that's fighting at Helm's Deep, so his whole army gets bitch slapped by the main character, the elf and the dwarf. When he gets home and he sees all his shit is wrecked, he basically just straight up kills himself. The main character, the elf, the dwarf, the angel, and the 2 stoner hobbits all meet up and smoke that guy's stash. While this is happening, the doomed hobbit and the simple hobbit are over there walking around in circles because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They meet up with a hobo named Gollum who's hungry for the ring like it's crack. They figure, we can trust this guy, and he leads them into a spider's den. The doomed hobbit ends up getting captured by the orcs and brought to one of their fortresses, which actually takes him closer to where he's trying to go. The simple hobbit has to fight his way through that shit and save his buddy. After that, they dress up like orcs and hike their way to Mount Doom, which is where they're supposed to destroy the ring. While all this shit is going on, the forces of the Elder God have totally been stirred up. They're out there attacking all of civilization, and the only ones that stand in their way are our high heroes. Just like in any epic movie, there's a moment where you realize there's no way that these main characters should possibly survive this. And then, something happens. Some kind of plot hole that just works in their favor. In this movie, it's called a ghost army. But trust me, when these down on their luck heroes win, it's always because of some kind of ghost army. In fact, I'm just gonna start calling this kind of plot device in a movie or in fiction a ghost army. Harry Potter's fighting Voldemort, but the power of his parents' love saved him? Ghost army. The Empire is coming to kill Han Solo, but the Ewoks suddenly decide to join his side? Ghost Army. The drama of some romantic couple in a romantic comedy has only brought them closer together? Ghost fucking Army! After our high heroes beat back these forces, they take the fight to them, going all the way up to the gates of their territory. This is where our epic last stand happens, but it only ends whenever the doomed Hobbit and the simple Hobbit get the ring to Mount Doom. I'd like to specify that by this time the doomed Hobbit has completely lost his shit. He would not have made it to the mountain if not for the simple Hobbit. And then, when it comes time to drop the ring into Mount Doom to destroy it once and all, he's like, nah fam, nah player, I'm wearing this shit. I'm the Elder God now, bitches! But just like any crackhead, Gollum shows up and straight up bites his finger off for that sweet, sweet crack! My precious! After a short struggle, his ass falls in the pit, destroying the ring. The Elder God is defeated, the lands are saved, and the Eagles finally show up like, hey guys, why weren't you riding on us the whole time? This whole thing could have been finished much quicker. Sorry, Eagles. The angel that was guiding us died and then came back and then got too high to remember to call for you guys. If you're watching the movies, after this there's like a half hour of just where are they now type of bullshit. I would tell you about it, except I got bored and switched over to watching some Gravity Falls. It's the story of a mad god called Bill Cipher who wrongfully gets imprisoned in... No, wait. That's for another time, fam. So that's Lord of the Rings, a story with as many contradictions and conflicting personalities as your typical Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Is it an accurate portrayal of Earth's prehistory time period? Fuck, I don't know, guys. I'm not even from Earth. But if you ask me, it's close enough. Don't forget to share and subscribe, murder that like button, and as always, stay cringy, bitches. Thanks for watching.